When you realize you can't rely on anyone but yourself. A wake-up call. After 70, there comes a moment in life that hits quietly but cuts deep. The moment you realize that the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. Not your children, not your siblings, not even the partner who's walked with you through decades of life. It's not easy to accept. Loneliness can creep in like a shadow woven into every silver hair and every slowing step. The kids are grown now, busy building their own lives. The people you once leaned on, they may be battling their own health issues, or they're simply no longer around. And one day in the middle of a quiet afternoon, when you need someone just to sit with, to talk to you, find yourself asking, is anyone really there for me? But here's the powerful truth: that moment doesn't have to be an end. It can be a beginning. Because this isn't a story about bitterness or blame. It's a gentle but firm reminder that you can still build a strong, fulfilling, and meaningful life. Whether you're 70, 80, or 90, you don't need to wait for someone else to show up in order to feel valued. You don't need others' presence to feel peace. And no, you are not alone if you learn to draw strength from 5 often overlooked sources of support that are far more reliable than most people think. These 5 pillars quietly support your emotional, physical, and mental well-being. They don't depend on family. They don't make you feel like a burden. They're always there, especially when you need them the most. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could change the way you see aging and help you realize just how powerful you still are. Let's begin with one of the most underrated forms of strength, something that, if preserved, can make you feel unshakable. That is physical mobility. After 70, being able to get out of bed by yourself, fix your favorite cup of tea, or step outside to breathe the morning air. These are not small things. They're freedom. They're dignity. They're proof that you are still in control of your life. Most people don't understand how crucial this is until they lose it. When you can dress yourself, cook your own meals, walk without waiting for help. You're not just staying active. You're reclaiming something much deeper: your independence. And more than that, mobility is emotional support. It boosts your confidence, it eases your fears of being helpless, and it reminds you that you are still capable, still valuable, and still here for yourself. Why movement is the most underrated superpower after 70. When your body still responds to you, when you can rise from a chair without help, walk down your driveway with ease, or bend just enough to tend to your favorite flowers, something shifts inside you. You worry less about becoming a burden and more about what else you're capable of. Now let's clear up a common misconception right away. Staying active in your 70s or 80s doesn't mean signing up for triathlons or doing yoga headstands. It means honoring your body by keeping it gently engaged, by choosing movement over stillness, and by protecting the very systems, your joints, balance, muscles that support your independence. Even something as simple as stretching your arms overhead each morning, taking a short walk around the block, or doing a few reps with light resistance bands can have a profound effect. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency and believing that your body is still worth caring for. Here's the truth most people never hear. Mobility loss is not a guaranteed part of aging. Yes, bodies change, but decline is not destiny. The more you move, the more your body remembers how. It doesn't respond to your birth year, it responds to your daily actions. That's why movement, no matter how small, is a signal to your body. We're still in this together, but the power of mobility isn't just physical, it's deeply emotional. Because for many older adults, one of the most paralyzing fears is the fear of losing control, of having to ask for help with things that once felt so simple. And when the body starts needing assistance, the mind sometimes retreats too. You begin questioning yourself, canceling plans, skipping social gatherings. Not because you've lost interest, but because you're silently afraid you won't keep up, or might need help, or might fall behind. That's not aging, that's retreating from life. And it doesn't have to be your story. Let me tell you about someone who rewrote that narrative entirely. His name is Martin, a spirited 78-year-old I met one morning while visiting a quiet park near Tampa. Every day without fail, he walks slow circles around the lake using his cane. I once asked him why he keeps doing it even in the pouring rain. He smiled and said, "Something I'll never forget. The day I stop moving is the day I start waiting for someone to push me, to help me, to take over. I'm not here to wait, I'm here to live." Martin isn't trying to be young again. He's simply refusing to surrender his agency. And that mindset, that fierce commitment to staying in motion, has given him something many people don't realize they've lost until it's gone freedom. He still drives himself to the store. He still joins friends for Sunday morning coffee. And he still climbs the 3 steps to his porch with quiet pride. Not because someone built a ramp, but because he made a decision: I will not stop. When you invest even a small amount of effort into your physical body, a daily walk, a few stretches, light activity, it pays you back in ways money never could. It restores your confidence. It strengthens your independence. And it reminds you with every step you take that you're still in charge of your story. Strength you can count on even when no one else shows up. The truth is, there will be times when no family member is available to drive you to a doctor's appointment, or no one is around to help you up after a fall. And while that may feel disheartening, it's not the end of the road, far from it. Because if your legs are still strong, your posture stable, and your balance reliable, you've already delayed the need for help. You've bought yourself more time, not just to function, but to thrive. And here's the part that no one says out loud: that kind of self-sufficiency isn't just a physical advantage, it's a deeply emotional one. Knowing you can take care of yourself builds confidence from the inside out. It quiets the fear that someday you'll become invisible or helpless. So if you've been waking up feeling stiff, or if your body feels weaker than it used to, don't scold yourself. Start exactly where you are and not where you think you should be. Stretch your arms while waiting for your morning coffee. Take a few extra steps after checking the mailbox. Move just a little more today than you did yesterday. These small, nearly invisible choices slowly build a foundation you can trust, a foundation that walks beside you, even if no one else does. And now let's talk about the second pillar of true independence, one that's often overlooked, but absolutely essential: financial simplicity. When you reach your 70s, peace of mind doesn't come from a 6-figure savings account or a fancy portfolio. It comes from something much more practical: clarity. Knowing what you truly need, what you can manage without anxiety, and how to live within your means, not someone else's expectations. You see, as we age, financial stress doesn't just affect our wallet, it weighs down our heart. The more tangled our finances become, multiple bank accounts, forgotten subscriptions, mounting credit card statements, the heavier that emotional load grows. And here's the thing: financial chaos doesn't get better with time. It only gets louder in your mind. It can rob your sleep, sour your mood, and make you feel like you're always one unexpected bill away from panic. But simplicity, true thoughtful simplicity, is a gift you can give yourself at any age. And unlike some forms of support, this one is 100% in your hands. You don't need permission. You don't need someone to manage it for you. What you need is a clear, manageable plan. A budget that reflects your real lifestyle, not a life you think you should have. Because here's what no one talks about: simplifying your finances doesn't mean you're giving up control. It means you're finally taking it. When your money situation is calm and predictable, it brings a kind of relief that no luxury item can match. You stop second-guessing every purchase. You know exactly what's coming in and going out. And like cleaning out a messy drawer or organizing your closet, your mind feels lighter the moment things are in order. That's when your money stops being a source of anxiety and becomes a quiet form of freedom. Peace over profit: the power of simple finances after 70. As we age, one of the most persistent, often unspoken worries that creeps into our quiet hours isn't about the body, it's about money. It's not unusual for older adults to lie awake at night, not because of physical discomfort, but because of nagging questions like, what if my savings run out? Will I be able to afford a caregiver when I need one? What happens if there's a medical bill I can't pay? These thoughts don't just tug at the mind, they weigh down the heart. And here's the truth: financial uncertainty can be more draining than any physical ailment. But there's a powerful antidote, and it's not wealth, it's clarity. When you know exactly where your money is going, when your expenses are intentional, your needs are covered, and nothing catches you off guard, something shifts. You feel lighter. You breathe easier. You walk through your days with a quiet kind of confidence. Let me tell you about Lorraine, my neighbor and dear friend, now 74. She was a librarian for most of her life, the Kane who knew every neighbor's name and always had tea ready for guests. After her husband passed away, she found herself drowning in unfamiliar paperwork and household bills. But instead of panicking, Lorraine did something courageous. She took control. She met with a financial advisor, sorted through everything, and made a decision to simplify. She moved into a smaller home that required less upkeep, canceled unused subscriptions, cut down to one credit card, and let go of anything that added stress to her financial life. One day she smiled and told me, "I used to dread opening the mailbox. I was scared of the unknown. But now I open every envelope like it's just another recipe card. No fear, just clarity." She even started a little glass jar labeled Freedom Fund. Whenever she had an extra $10, she'd drop it in. It wasn't about the amount. It was about the message: I'm in charge. Not my bills, not my past. Me. What Lorraine did wasn't about cutting back, it was about taking her life back. By simplifying her finances, she reduced her emotional stress, gained independence, and created more space to enjoy the things she truly loved. And here's a beautiful bonus most people don't expect. The simpler your financial life, the less help you need managing it. You don't have to rely on your son to explain your bills. You don't need to wait for someone to log in and fix things online. You can handle it yourself. You become the captain of your own ship again, steady, grounded, and free. So if your money situation feels tangled or overwhelming right now, take a deep breath. You're not the only one. And the answer isn't having it more, it's making things make sense. Start small. Cancel what doesn't serve you. Combine accounts where possible. Keep a simple list of what comes in and what goes out. Make it so clear and straightforward, you could explain it to a friend over a cozy cup of coffee. No spreadsheets, no confusion, just peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, financial peace doesn't come from big numbers, it comes from understanding. When you truly know where you stand, your mind can finally rest. The secret weapon after 70, a simple, steady health routine. Before we go any further, I want to thank you. Your continued support helps us create meaningful content that not only informs, but uplifts. And what we're about to discuss may be one of the most overlooked forms of strength in your later years. Let's move on to the third source of real support, your health routine. Now, let me be clear. When I say health routine, I'm not talking about extreme diets, trendy workouts, or shelves filled with supplements that cost more than your weekly groceries. I'm talking about the small, repeatable acts of self-care that you do each day, rain or shine, tired or energized, because you know they keep your body moving and your mind clear. These routines may seem ordinary, but don't be fooled, they're powerful. They're the quiet foundation of independence, especially in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Because when your body feels grounded, your spirit follows. And when your daily habits are in your control, so is your confidence. Too many people wait until something breaks, a sudden illness, a scary fall, a sharp pain, before they start thinking about their health. But that's like waiting for a storm to hit before fixing your roof. You end up scrambling to stay dry instead of building shelter beforehand. A steady health routine flips the script. It makes you proactive instead of reactive. You move from surviving to thriving. Think about it. A short walk each morning, drinking water throughout the day, taking your medications without delay, eating foods that energize, not just satisfy, doing gentle stretches to keep your joints happy. These simple choices become a ritual of self-respect. Not because anyone is watching, but because you are. And that rhythm, that dependable, predictable structure carries you forward even when motivation is low or when your body feels a bit slower than usual. There's a quiet magic in that. Especially as we age, routines bring peace. Why? Because they eliminate the stress of decision-making. You don't have to wonder, should I go for a walk today, or should I take my meds now or later? You already know the answer. You've created a flow, and that flow becomes freedom. This structure not only builds physical strength, but also reinforces something deeper, a sense of capability. It says to the world, and more importantly to yourself, I'm still here. I'm still taking care of myself. I haven't given up on me. Let me share a story that brings this to life. Meet Frank, an 81-year-old former electrician who lives a few blocks from me. Every morning at exactly 600 a.m., Frank follows the same routine. He brews a cup of green tea, performs 15 minutes of chair stretches, takes his morning medication, and walks a few laps around the block. Not once a week, not just when he feels like it, every single day. One morning I asked him what keeps him going. His answer stopped me in my tracks. "It's not about burning calories," he said. "It's about reminding myself that I still matter." That one sentence holds so much wisdom. Frank's routine isn't about physical perfection. It's about preserving his identity, about staying rooted in the belief that age doesn't erase worth. And every step he takes, every stretch he does, is his way of saying, "I'm still me. I'm still showing up." And here's something many don't realize: when you commit to a routine, your mind follows your body. You start thinking clearer. You gain momentum. You stop seeing yourself as someone winding down and instead as someone who's still actively living. You are your own best caregiver, and no one can take that away. Here's something many people don't realize until much later in life: the stronger your routines, the less help you actually need. When you have consistent habits, you're less likely to forget to take your medications. You're more stable and on your feet. Your days feel more grounded, more meaningful, not because everything is perfect, but because you've built a path for yourself, one careful step at a time. Think of it like walking through a foggy forest. Even when you can't see clearly, when the day feels heavy, or the weather keeps you inside, or your joints are begging for rest, your body still remembers the way. That's the gift of routine. That's support you can trust. And best of all, it doesn't rely on anyone else but you. Sure, some days are tougher than others. That's just part of being human. Your knees might ache, your motivation might dip, or the skies might pour all day. And that's okay, because routine doesn't have to be rigid. It can bend and adjust to meet you where you are. On days like that, maybe it's not a walk outside, but a walk through your living room. Maybe it's not a full stretch routine, but simply standing by the window and taking 10 deep breaths. Maybe all you do is drink a full glass of water before bed. It might not seem like much, but together these small actions create a safety net, one that gently catches you when the world feels a little too heavy. So if you've fallen off your routine lately, if you're feeling unmotivated, don't be hard on yourself. Start small, pick one habit, one action, and do it today, not because someone told you to, but because you matter. Every time you show up for yourself in a quiet, consistent way, you're sending a message loud and clear. I am my own best caregiver. I am still here, still trying, and still worthy of care. And that, my friend, is a kind of support no one can ever take away. Emotional resilience, the quiet strength that carries you. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful than routines or mobility, something that deepens and sharpens with age: emotional resilience. Out of all the types of support you'll ever need, this is the one that becomes invaluable in your 70s and beyond. More than finances, more than even physical strength. Why? Because when your emotions are steady, you can navigate just about anything. Loneliness, grief, rejection, and even the heartbreak of feeling forgotten by family. Emotional resilience is what allows you to sit in a quiet room without feeling abandoned. It lets you face pain without letting it define you. And it helps you hold space for your own sadness without getting lost in it. By this point in life, chances are you've already faced more than your share of heartache. Maybe you've lost your partner. Maybe your kids moved far away and don't call as often as they should. Maybe your body doesn't feel like it used to, and yet you're still here. The mistake many make is believing that emotional strength means never feeling sad. That's a myth. True emotional resilience is not about being untouched by pain. It's about being able to walk through it and still keep walking. It means saying, yes, this hurts. Yes, I wish things were different, but I'm still standing. I can still move forward. It's not about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about acknowledging the hurt, letting it move through you like a wave, and then gently returning to shore. This kind of strength is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need applause, but it's there pulsing just beneath the surface, reminding you with every challenge you've been through worse, and you've come out wiser, softer, and stronger. Emotional resilience, the inner armor that no one sees but everyone needs. Here's a quiet truth many people discover only after life has knocked them down a few times. Every time you allow yourself to feel pain without running, numbing, or hiding, you become less afraid of tomorrow. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's freedom. When you stop needing others to hold your sorrow for you and instead learn to hold it gently yourself, something incredible happens. You realize you're stronger than you thought. Let me tell you a story that stayed with me. Eileen, a 77-year-old woman I met through a local grief group, lost her husband 5 years ago. They had been married over 4 decades. Now she lives alone, not by choice, but with quiet grace. One evening I asked her, "What helps you through the days when the silence is the loudest?" She paused and smiled softly. "Every night I light a candle, not because I'm religious," she said, "but because it reminds me I'm still here. I still exist. Some nights I cry, some nights I laugh. But no matter what, I end the day by telling myself, you made it through today." That simple act, lighting a flame in the dark, is her way of saying to her pain, "I see you, but you don't define me." That is emotional resilience. But don't be mistaken, it's not just about surviving big heartbreaks. Emotional strength shows up in smaller moments too. When your son forgets to call, when a friend moves away, and when you catch yourself struggling to do something that once came easily. Those little cracks can feel like tiny betrayals. And if you crumble every time life shifts, it becomes difficult to find joy in anything at all. But when you cultivate emotional strength, something beautiful happens. You reclaim your power. You're no longer held hostage by other people's behavior. You stop depending on the world to stay still, just to feel safe. Instead, you become anchored in your own calm, no matter what storms arise around you. Here's the science behind it. Emotional resilience doesn't just feel good, it actually changes your brain. It helps regulate your nervous system, slows racing thoughts, and reduces overreactions. It's like building an internal compass that always points you toward peace, even when the path gets rough. And in your later years, when unpredictability becomes part of daily life, whether it's health, relationships, or the loss of control, this emotional foundation becomes one of the most valuable things you can carry. So how do you build it? It doesn't start with pretending to be strong. It begins with gentle awareness. Allow yourself to feel sadness, but don't let it take over. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a dear friend. When disappointment shows up, meet it with patience, not panic. Emotional resilience isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing you'll be okay, even when you don't. You've survived everything so far. That's not luck, that's strength. Sometimes the simplest things offer the deepest comfort. A quiet walk among trees, the familiar scratch of a pen across a notebook, the melody of a song that reminds you of who you once were and still are. These grounding rituals aren't just pleasant, they are anchors. They pull you back to yourself when the world starts to feel like too much. And here's something you should never forget. You've made it through every hard thing life has ever thrown at you. That's not a coincidence. That's not luck. That's strength. That's resilience carved over decades, quietly earned and deeply rooted. So yes, people may drift away. Health may shift. Circumstances might change. But if your emotional core remains steady, if you've built a strong inner life, you will not fall apart. You will stand tall, eyes open, heart firm, grounded in the quiet truth that you are enough just as you are. You don't need someone else to validate that. You've lived it. You've proven it. And now, as we move toward the final pillar of lasting support in life, we arrive at something truly personal and profoundly powerful: your values. Your personal code, the compass that keeps you steady after 70. The world starts to move in unexpected ways. People you once depended on may let you down. Institutions change. Life becomes more unpredictable. And for many seniors, that creates a sense of disorientation, a loss of purpose, a quiet question whispering, "What now?" But there's one thing that doesn't change with time or age: your inner compass. Your personal code, your own set of values, becomes your lighthouse in the fog. It reminds you who you are, what matters most, and how you want to show up in the world, regardless of what anyone else says or does. Here's the problem. Too many older adults reach this stage in life only to realize they've spent decades living according to someone else's rulebook. They were the reliable father, the devoted wife, the tireless worker, the constant giver. And those roles were important, but once they fade, many are left with a haunting emptiness, wondering, without those roles, who am I? That's when your personal code steps in. Like a trusted friend, it whispers, you are still you. You always were. And now you get to live by your own rules. Your values don't need to be complex or grand. In fact, the most powerful codes are often the simplest. Kindness, even when no one's watching. Honesty, even when it's hard. Self-respect, even when others don't offer it. Simplicity in a world that loves noise. Responsibility, not for everyone else, but for yourself. These quiet principles won't make headlines. They won't impress crowds, but they'll steady your soul. And when you live according to them, something extraordinary happens. You stop seeking permission to exist. You stop bending to win approval. You stop feeling shaken when someone disagrees with you, because your peace no longer depends on other people's reactions. It comes from within, from a place that says, this is who I am, this is how I live, and I don't need applause to know I'm on the right path. A life guided by values, the legacy that needs no audience. Let me share a story that stayed with me for years. His name was Harold, a soft-spoken man I met during a community event in a quiet retirement town. He was in his early 80s and had the kind of calm presence that made you want to lean in and listen. When I asked him what kept him grounded, his answer was simple. I live by 5 rules, he said. I always tell the truth. I never waste food. I return what I borrow. I forgive quickly. And I make sure I go to bed with a clear conscience. That was it. No grand philosophies, no need for long explanations. Just 5 quiet principles and a man who truly lived them. Harold wasn't wealthy. He didn't have a big family or a big house. But there was something about the way he walked, the way he looked people in the eye, a quiet dignity that seemed almost rare in today's world. Why? Because he knew exactly who he was. He didn't let life's noise drown out his integrity. His personal code, those 5 simple rules, anchored him through every season of life. And there's something psychologically powerful about that. When you have a set of values you truly live by, you stop second-guessing yourself. You don't lie awake replaying every decision or worrying, did I do the right thing? You already know because you've chosen to live in alignment with what matters most to you. This kind of clarity doesn't just bring peace of mind, it brings stability. When life throws you a curveball, and it will, you won't spiral. Instead, you'll pause and ask, what do my values tell me to do here? And that will be your compass, your quiet guide when everything else feels uncertain. In fact, studies in elder psychology confirm this. Older adults who live by a consistent personal code report higher life satisfaction, lower anxiety, and even stronger cognitive health. Why? Because when your life has a thread of meaning running through it, a deep inner integrity, it helps you stay grounded no matter how much the world around you changes. But here's something even more beautiful. Your values don't have to be approved by anyone else. You don't need to explain them, justify them, or convince others to live the same way. They're yours, and that is what makes them sacred. Whether your code includes rising early to greet the sun, refusing to speak badly about others, giving, even when you have little, or choosing curiosity over judgment, what matters most is that those values speak to your soul. Let them be your anchor. Let them carry you through. Because at the end of the day, true success isn't measured by wealth recognition or approval. It's measured by the moment you can look in the mirror at 75, 85, or 95 and say, with peace in your heart, I lived by what I believed. I honored who I was. I stayed true to myself. That is real self-respect. That is real peace, and no one, not your children, not society, not even time, can take that away from you. Because it's not something external. It's not something temporary. It's you. It's within you. It always has been. In the end, it's not about being remembered. It's about being at peace with yourself as the chapters of life grow quieter and the world outside begins to shift. We're often left with a single question echoing in our hearts: who truly stands by me when no one else does? And over time, the answer changes. The truth is, those we thought would always be there, family, close friends, even our own aging bodies, may grow distant or unreliable. But this doesn't mean we're left empty-handed. In fact, aging gently reveals a powerful truth. Some of the strongest forms of support were never meant to come from outside. They've been quietly waiting within you all along. Maybe it's the stability of your morning routine, the cup of tea, the short walk, the steady rhythm that whispers to your mind and body, you are safe, you are grounded. Maybe it's the spark of joy you find in small passions, painting, journaling, listening to birdsong, things that don't just pass the time, but bring meaning to it. These aren't hobbies, they're lifelines to your spirit. Maybe it's the way you've chosen to maintain your strength physically and mentally. Strong legs, a nourished body, a sharp mind that still questions, learns, and evolves. These things don't just help you survive. They let you thrive with dignity. And perhaps most sacred of all, we spoke about something deeper than routine or strength, your personal code. The quiet, powerful values you live by even when no one is watching. That's your compass. That's your armor. And when everything else around you changes, that's what helps you age with grace and pass on with peace. What this journey really means. So what does all of this mean for you? It means that the most reliable support system after 70 may not be a person, but a way of being. A lifestyle built not on dependence, but on intention. A foundation made of habits, beliefs, and daily choices that strengthen you from the inside out. Because here's the most liberating truth. When you can stand strong on your own, you never truly feel alone. That kind of inner strength doesn't just comfort you, it frees you. It allows you to move through life with less fear and more confidence, knowing that even when things fall away, you remain steady. A small challenge and a loving reminder. So here's a gentle challenge for you. After this video ends, take just a few quiet minutes. Reflect. Ask yourself, which of these 5 inner supports have I already built into my life? And which one do I want to start nurturing beginning today? You don't need a dramatic transformation. Big changes often begin with one quiet decision made not in public, but in the stillness of your own heart. Maybe it's choosing to stretch each morning. Maybe it's writing down what you're grateful for. Maybe it's setting one personal value and honoring it no matter what. Whatever it is, let that be your next step. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for spending this time with us. If something in today's message spoke to you, I invite you to share in the comments below. What's one insight that stood out to you? How do you plan to bring it into your life starting today? Your reflections matter more than you know to us and to others in this community. We read every comment and they bring us real joy and motivation. If you found this video meaningful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support allows us to keep creating heartfelt content that uplifts, informs, and inspires. From our hearts to yours, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.